Well, I think we've come to a crossroads. I think there are so many worrying stats out there now about the kind of what I call the benchmark or the baseline of health in the UK. And we know that we walked into COVID on the back foot. The government knew that as a nation we had substandard levels of health, and I think they were bracing themselves for that. And I don't think it would be right at all for the government to blame the people about their level of health, because I would put it right back to the government and say, actually, you allowed this to go on for too long. And the most pertinent word for me in this is availability. It's not about education, because in the 90s we had less health issues as a nation than we do right now, and we were less informed in the 90s. This is about availability. This is about the high streets, the shopping malls, the service stations, the towns, the cities being overtaken by fast food outlets, quick fix meals, low grade nutrition that hasn't been regulated at all. We applied taxes to sugar. We had the sugar tax, which affected the end user. So again, the end user is being targeted, when in actual fact those stealth taxes should have been applied to the companies that were sourcing on large scale cheap meat, cheap products, massive gross profit margins at the detriment to the end user. And we should have, in the last 20 years, created incentives for healthy food and beverage outlets to start up. There should have been grants given to get more healthy chains in the high street. If you look at the majority, not all, but if you look at the majority of the fast food outlets that I'm referring to, most of them are American. Most of them are from the US that have come in to the UK, and that over the last 25 years has impacted perniciously. So we haven't seen it coming, it's crept up, so we're now at this crossroads where we have really quite detrimental levels of health. If you take obesity related illness or issues in 2016, 2017 was 618,000 more than the previous year. So an 18% increase in obesity related issues that the NHS was having to deal with. So that's really why it's time now to look at the issues we have around 2/3 of us struggling with sleep issues, 8% having back problems, 30% of us struggling with IBS, most of us walking around insulin resistant, which is a form of pre-diabetes, most of us adrenally imbalanced, male testosterone has plummeted decade upon decade, and we're more stressed now than ever. And sadly, we've been caught asleep at the wheel, or at least the system has been caught asleep at the wheel, not keeping up with the changes in society. So it's time now that we look to ourselves as a nation and say, right, let's become more informed. So that's really why it's time now to look at the levels of health.